Greetings, everyone. I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion, and we are now 10 episodes deep in the Everybody Loves Raymond reviews, and this episode is called Turkey or Fish. Now, the thing I love about the Everybody Loves Raymond titles is that they either are connected somehow to the plot, either loosely or describing part of the plot, like, say, Captain Nemo, All I Want for Christmas, or they are connected to the plot, and while you might not be able to guess why it's called that at first, the moment you read the synopsis, you're like, aha. Turkey or Fish is one such one, because it's one of those ones you're like, turkey or fish? But then when you look at the synopsis, you're like, oh, clever title. And, being a sitcom, this goes with one of the traditions that a lot of these shows usually have, and that is having holiday episodes. Usually it's always Thanksgiving and or Christmas, because for most Americans those are the two big holidays we celebrate. I mean, there's others, but you're always guaranteed to have at least one of those two, if not both, in a season. If you get other ones, it's a bonus. And, you know, with Everybody Loves Raymond, we do get some Halloween episodes. I believe we get an Easter episode later on. But each season, we're usually guaranteed to have at least a Christmas episode and a Thanksgiving episode. And this is the beginning of that. Because Turkey or Fish is our first Thanksgiving episode. And given what we've seen from the Barone family, it's the Thanksgiving episode we deserved. And it is quite a doozy. I know I've said this a couple times in this series, but this is a plot that could have happened anytime in the first couple seasons. It could have happened in the later seasons too, but it wouldn't have made as much sense there. But it makes most sense to have this in the first season. Now, the main plot is that Debra doesn't want to go to Ray's parents for Thanksgiving. Now, she doesn't say it that way. She frames it more as, Ray, aren't you tired of always going to our parents each year for Thanksgiving? And that's because every year they alternate. Like, previous year they went to her parents in Connecticut for Thanksgiving. This year's supposed to be Ray's parents. She wants to start her own tradition and have it at her house. Now, as the course of the episode, she phrases it two separate ways. She phrases it originally, when she's talking with Ray, like she wants everyone from both sides of the family, or at least in the immediate family, to come and have Thanksgiving at their house. You know, call her parents to come down from Connecticut to join. Maybe her sister, call his parents over, Robert, maybe some of the other extended kin if they were already invited, and just have one big family dinner instead of just spreading it out one year. Now, with how my family was at Christmas, I can kind of understand why you'd want to do that. Because with my family around Christmas, we would do two separate things. We would do dad's side of the family and then mother's side of the family. But that one we got comfortable with because we do dad's Christmas Eve, and then at least the immediate family from mother's side would be Christmas Day. And a couple years, the rest of it would come down. Sometimes, so having it all in one thing like that for Debra is more convenient, and I can understand that. Just for my own family, that, you know, it's for the convenience. Now, with how we've seen Marie act, convenience is never going to sit well with her, or it's not going to occur to her, because it's all about her. There's a reason the phrase "just no mother-in-law" exists, and it's an apt descriptor for Marie, and that's because she does not understand things. The moment they explain what they want to do to her, and part of the issue is that Debra seems to have changed what she wants to do by this point, because instead of just having both sides of the family come every year, when she talks with Marie, she phrases it like, you know, I'll just add us to the rotation, and then this year will be me, the next year you. Would she tell it to Marie that way? Of course Marie's going to flip. So it makes me wonder if that's like a little writing goof there, or they did not write it in a way for Debra to explain what she really wanted the first time, and or just came off weird. But Marie flips. And she does that little fake nice that becomes her character trademark, which Doris Roberts plays it beautifully, where she's all like, nice, like, oh, that's nice, dear. Then immediately goes, I just want to know why you're doing that baloney on my ear. And she doesn't get super angry or that how dare you, that sometimes she'll pull out. But you could tell she's overreacting. I mean, Frank is even acting like she's overreacting. He doesn't say anything, but he's like, I'm fine, doesn't matter. And then, of course, he thinks he's going to profit from it because he'll get to have 2 turkeys for the price of 1, which is totally a Frank move to play. Now, once Marie storms off, it makes it look like, oh, this is going to be interesting. Ray is probably going to have to figure out who he's going to side with, but it doesn't go that way. He ends up siding with Debra and trying to get his mother to come back over, which this leads into why the episode's called Turkey or Fish. Because instead of turkey, Debra wants to cook a fish. And with this whole thing, I'm siding with Ray. Because I love fish. I mean, tuna, salmon, bass like they make. But like Ray says, not on Turkey Day. It's called Turkey Day for a reason. It just goes with it. I mean, I know they ate fish at the first Thanksgiving, as Allie even points out, even though I don't agree with Ray's argument where it's like, people were stupid then, sweetie. Maybe in some things, but not in eating like fish or whatnot. I don't think I would want to eat fish as the main course on Thanksgiving. You know, unless I was not in the mood to make everything, but that's a horse of a different color. If that happened, I would just get some instant mashed cauliflower and then maybe get a turkey breast and then just make a quick, simple little 2-piece Thanksgiving dinner for myself, rather than cook a big old striped bass. Which, of course, as an aside, some people would be like, really? You really want to celebrate Thanksgiving with the turkey and all that, and you have native blood? I know it's a little aside, but I celebrate Thanksgiving more for the family dynamic than I do for the whole traditional Mayflower Pilgrims thing. That thing, I think, has just been too commercialized and too overblown that I just don't get it. I mean, learning about it in school, yeah, but then they kind of sanitize it a little bit. But the whole family dynamic I do like, which is why I'm glad this episode focuses more on the family aspect of Thanksgiving rather than the pilgrim thing. I mean, even with Allie's play, they have her dressed as a yam instead of going the traditional route. Now, Ray does finally convince his parents to come over, or more should I say Marie, because Frank was going to come over anyway. And when Debra finds out that Marie was more than happy to come when she found out that she was serving a fish, she smells sabotage. And as we'll find out later in the episode, she's right. So what is Debra's first plan? We're going to make everything from scratch, and she's drafting Ray, and Ray reacts in a way you would expect him to be like, no, I don't want to help. But he ends up helping, as only Ray can. He gets the wrong baking item. He was supposed to get baking powder, and he got baking soda instead, which is like, really, Ray? You're that stupid? I think they just wrote that in there just for a quick, cheap laugh. Because you realize how stupid you'd have to be to get baking soda instead of baking powder? Maybe that's just me, because I actually do cook pretty well and understand the difference between the two of them. But it's like, how do you mix that up? I mean, other stuff I can understand getting the wrong one. Or if someone really is anal retentive about getting name brand stuff and you get the cheap brand one and they start flipping their lid, in that case I'll start quoting George Lopez. It's the same thing. The same thing. Roman meal-sized hot dog bun. It's the same thing. Now, Ray, while he's helping, it does lead to one of my favorite little sight gags in the episode, and that is he's trying to watch the game while Debra's changing one of the twins. He's talking to the other twin, and he accidentally puts the fish in the dishwasher. That always makes me smile. And then he does the old, check the fridge. Well, he tries to pull it out because he realizes what he did, and then Debra looks at him and is like, you put my fish in the dishwasher? Well, Ray didn't put any soap in there, and it was already steaming, so, hey, he pre-cooked the fish. The guests begin to arrive, in addition to the usual suspects, such as Marie, Robert, Frank. We got Aunt Emma, which is a character that does not appear after this, as far as I remember, unless she's in the background and doesn't have any lines. At first I was wondering if it was because her actress passed away, but I just looked up her IMDb profile. Yeah. She didn't pass away until 2009, so it wasn't that. Probably a scheduling thing or just not wanting to bring the character back. And it's also the introduction of Great Uncle Mel, one of my favorite little background recurring characters on the show, because he has no filter. Now, he does not say super political stuff, but the stuff he says is funny. Just like when the first thing he says when the door is open, you get what type of character he is. And he's played perfectly by prolific character actor Phil Leeds, who sadly passed away in between seasons 2 and 3, if I remember right, which is why we only get him in a couple episodes in the first 2 seasons. But for the time he's in the show, one of the perfect background characters, and everything he says is gold, and Phil plays it beautifully. The first thing he says, well, that fish is like a punch in the face. And of course, a running gag with the character is that everybody thinks he's gay because he's always constantly traveling with men. Like we see here, he brings 2 of his buddies with him, and he even has to articulate, we're not gay. He brings a male friend to Ray's wedding, among other stuff. And then there's even one episode where he's talking like a therapist, where he's like, just because I was with never married doesn't mean I'm gay. I'm guessing this is probably an older generational thing where it's like, yeah, your Uncle Mel was not married, I think he might be. Nowadays, someone didn't marry, he'd be like, he just didn't marry. Didn't find anyone. Or even if he was gay, it'd be like, no big deal. You know, unless you're in that little subset of people that think it's weird, but that's on you. As a running gag, I think it kind of works, but that's more so to do with the Barone family dynamics. More so with Frank, as we'll find out in a later episode. And to top off this Thanksgiving, what happens? Marie shows up with her own turkey. Now, this is a plot element from this episode I found out about way before I watched this episode, because this episode, for some reason, was not shown in syndication when I was first watching the show and was introduced to some of the earlier episodes. For whatever reason, a lot of the episodes in the first 2 seasons, they would only show the big ones. And this one they never showed, from what I remember. Either that or I never caught it when it was shown in syndication at that time. So I only found out about this plot element from when Debra brings it up again in a later episode. And then when I was watching them on there, I'm like, oh, this is when she did it. It wasn't an off-screen thing. And Debra, her reaction when she sees the turkey, totally justified. And Ray, just trying to placate everybody, lets her bring it in. If that was me, I would have kicked Marie the hell out. And be like, nope. What are you doing? No. Not your meal to plan. Now, I know some people say, oh, that's cruel. You do that to your own mother. Considering what my own mother's done, I'd probably do worse. Maybe not for that, but she's done stuff that is worse that would justify worse than just being kicked out. But nope. And because of that, he is rightly sat at the children's table. He earned that. And one thing I do love about the conclusion of this episode is that Marie and Debra do have a heart-to-heart after a little incident. I'm not going to spoil everything in the episode. And Debra finds out Marie is actually proud that she did make an excellent meal, especially the fish, because Frank loves it, and I guess he never likes fish she makes for some weird reason. Which, they kind of cover that up in the next season when they talk about salmon, but maybe salmon's different. During this heart-to-heart, we get our very first indication of how things went for Marie when she was earlier in her marriage with Frank, and her interactions with her own mother-in-law, Nanny Barone, as they call her. We find out she had a very similar relationship to her mother-in-law that Debra has to her, which begs the question, if you hated her because she calls her mother-in-law a horrible woman, then why do you still treat Debra the way you do? It begs the question, she trying to do better and she just is coming out this way because of her personality? Is it a paid-forward type of situation in a twisted kind of way? Is it she's just trying to be good, but she doesn't want to give up the spot, and she's now starting to understand why her own mother-in-law did it? Or is it like something that they mentioned a couple of times throughout the course of the show? She is doing good the best she can, but she's not as mean as her mother-in-law, so it's like a baby step thing with each generation. No matter what it is, I do like that Marie is self-aware with the fact that she can be like this occasionally, and when it comes to this, she and Debra do make up, and as she puts it, they're going to come to her house for Thanksgiving every year after this. And for the most part, they do. I mean, in season 3, it's at Marie's house, but that's for a whole different reason, and they probably have an off-screen conversation. It's like, hey, let's just have it in your house this year. But for all the other ones, it's usually in Ray and Debra's kitchen. All in all, this is a pretty fun episode. It has a lot of good humor, some good sight gags, great background characters. Uncle Mel, hilarious. Has one of my favorite little moments with dogs at the very end. Has the traditional post-dinner coma. And it actually does help with Debra's confidence, that one. And all in all, it's a great family episode. It does build on the relationship of the characters and a little bit of family lore, as it were. And, you know, nice to have a string of good episodes. Now, when you look at all of the holiday episodes, would I say it's one of my favorites? I'd say it's in the running. I'd say probably like some of the ones later in the show more. But it definitely in the running for best of the season. Definitely in the running. I think I like the Christmas episode a bit more, though, but that's because I like how it builds on a father and son relationship, but I'll get to that when I get to that episode.